Hi everyone. I just got on right now. Nobody on is on yet. So I just wanted to open a dialogue with you folks out there, and I'm gonna type a whole bunch of questions here. Um, I had them typed, but then somehow I erased it. But it like so? What is it like for you guys out there at work, at home? And what do you think, you guys? What do you guys think about the shopping? Is it panic shopping or is it sensible shopping? And what about the 1% hoarders who pretty much bought everything to make a buck out of it? And if you go to a church, a synagogue, or a mosque, what has that been like? And what do you think, you guys? What do you guys think we need to do so that stuff like this just doesn't keep happening? Maybe think about educating folks on how to properly wash hands, covering cough, sneeze, even yawning, and what is a droplets anyway? So hopefully we can dialogue and this is sort of like crisis intervention, I guess. I think we are in time of crisis, and I think opening a dialogue is actually what we used to do when I worked in the emergency room after we had a very horrendous event, like, a 5-year-old kid gets killed and stuff like that. So I think ventilating is a good way. So let me just type these questions up there so that they're here on the comment section. But if you're out there and you're joining me, please chime in. I would love to hear from you. I'm not really sure if you're able to go and say something. This is only my third or fourth, but maybe you can type it. So let me type these things that I think are kind of good to talk about. So bear with me here. Okay, so I just have got these things posted up. So um, again, hello, my covey, and it's Eloy from Quailer 100. I haven't really posted anything in a while. I've actually been working on my my other channel. So what I'm trying to do is make my channel less cluttered. And that was lint flying. Sorry. I'm actually trying to make it less cluttered, and I'm actually I've actually created two other channels. So I'm going to migrate some of the handy stuff or crafts or knife making, woodwork to another channel. It'll be called Pinoy Crafted, and I'm excited. I was actually supposed to go to the Philippines, and I was actually going to video there, and no, I was supposed to leave March 28th, so I doubt that I'll make it out of Los Angeles to the Philippines. There are a lot of travel restrictions right now, which is fine. I think if this is gonna save a lot of people, and including you and me, I think I'm all for it, because you never know who's gonna get it, and you don't know who's gonna expire from it. So the other one, I actually, my travel videos, if anything other than handiwork, like other stuff, I think it's mostly food and dining. I'm gonna actually put it on Baskin no Karen. Um, so it actually is Kapampangan for uh, anywhere. So, or just about anywhere, I think. It's probably more proper. So yeah, and so I just wanted to share what it's like here in Los Angeles, California. It's March 15, 2020. And I'm hoping that, people join me, and we can actually open a dialogue. And back when I was working in the emergency room back in the 80s, as I had mentioned, we'd have, people getting shot, getting stabbed, people dying left and right, people getting sick, and sometimes just snot nose. But we would actually just sit around, all the staff that were affected or that were on that shift. We would actually sort of like have a circle, and we had a moderator, and she was usually the director, and she was I thought she was good at it, looking back now. And I think it kind of helped, at least me, move on. I mean, I still have those traumatic. I guess I don't know if traumatic is that's such an overused word. You know, I guess life is a traumatic experience, but yeah, when you work in the emergency room, you just don't have enough time for that trauma, because there's just so many of them. But this one is real. Actually, it's very surreal for me, because you look at all the news and it's happening. We have the COVID pretty much in 146 countries. I didn't even know there were that many countries. I guess there's some more. So, are there over 200 countries? Yeah, I guess with the new world, like when Russia was broken up into bits and so on. So, what's life like out here? So I'm gonna read my own questions here. What's life like at work? Well, I work for the federal government. I hope I don't get in trouble. These are just my opinions. It's in no way to criticize, or if I do sound negative, I actually don't want to sound negative. Although it may sound like I'm negative, or it may slip by. um, it's just certain individuals who meet requirements. So I can't really speak for the general population, I work. It's certain individuals who qualify that I actually uh, take care of, and they're usually men between the ages of 21 to like 70, and that's who I see. I think I've seen like two women in the last year, which is, and they've been transferred to another provider. So work wise, we were getting a lot of emails, and within the last week or two, there were processes that were put into place, and it was actually uh, rather quick. I think it was very proactive. So even before it was declared a pandemic, there was already planned from the medical, uh, you know, from the medical leaders, like the chief of staff and stuff like that. If you haven't already known, or if you don't know, I'm a nurse practitioner, and I think it's still in my about me. Uh, and so, like I said, we've been getting a lot of emails left and right, and a lot of them are from corporate, and a lot of them are local, and a lot of them are actually within our clinic. And what's happening is that I would say it's a frantic pace, but I think it's a much needed intervention, or a much needed uh, pace. I say that because you know it, wa- you know I guess when you're in a crisis situation, people will react, and I think when you're already in a crisis, it's when shit has hit the fan. Like right now, shit has hit the fan. It's I think what the place where I work is, they were proactive enough that they mobilized resources, and probably sort of like a whole bunch of them got together and laid out a plan, and they're still modifying it. And actually, I'm impressed that before it was announced as a pandemic, we have processes in place, which is good. So that's a good thing, right? So we know what to do when somebody comes in. As a matter of fact, here's what goes on, and I don't think it's a trade secret. I think, I mean, we're all in this together: federal, state, local, America, Russia, China. And I think it's sharing best practice. I think when you're in medicine, it's about sharing best practice. And what we're doing, and or what we what's been implemented, and it's still not perfect, is this the isolation and social distancing. And what's going on is that, hi, whoever joined me, thank you for joining. Just talking about COVID, what it's like out here in Los Angeles. So with work, like I said, we've gotten mandates from the very top, and locally, and in our own clinic. What they've done is, there are a lot of doors where people can go in and out, and so last week, early last week, what they've done is actually limited access. Oh, I guess I'm alone again. They limited access to the building. So there were two entries, and they were manned by police slash security. And what they did is they did a travel screen. Basically, is three questions, and it would be a negative screen if you answered no to all of them. So the first question was, do you have any cough, fever, or shortness of breath? So if the answer is yes, then you go on to the next question. And even if it was no, the question is still, did you recently travel within the last 14? And then the other one was actually, there was, but actually we have a another questionnaire for us providers, and actually ask, did you travel within 21 days outside of the country? And those countries being China, Iran, Italy, and South Korea. So if the answer is yes to that one, then you would be pulled aside, and and they would give you a surgical mask, and then you would be placed in a room, and we have a negative pressure room, but should that be used, each unit has their own room. So for us, we call it a procedure room. And so this procedure room is where they will close the door. There's a phone, and then there will be someone with you to evaluate you. So I'll get to hopefully in a little bit how I sort of did it, just for my team, which consists of like three people. Um, so that was done early in the early part of the week, but now it's well, it was supposed to start Friday, but it didn't. So now they're limiting entry and exit to one door. So everybody, staff and patients, vendors, anyone who is going in the building has to go through the same entrance. And actually, I guess they have. I guess they go out a different way. So the security, and the police actually lock up the whole building. And so if there's anyone questionable, this entrance happens to have a room that's actually close to the negative room, the negative pressure room. A negative pressure room is a room where you put people with TB, measles, anything that actually is airborne. And what it does, rather than blow the air and recirculate it within the building, this actually has a sort of like a vacuum or suction that actually pulls the air from that room and actually disposes it outside the building. And I don't know if it's filtered. I would assume that it would be. So that's supposed to be implemented, and I think it's a good idea. We have a lot of people that are poo-pooing it, that are just mocking all of this procedure. And you know for a lot of people, they're following, but there's still there's a great deal of people who are actually um, like really just, I guess disgruntled might be a good word, but I think part of it is their lack of understanding, and maybe part of it is them being just you know nervous. But I think a lot of it might be uh, lack of understanding, and I say that, and not to be derogatory, but it actually came from a couple of housekeepers who actually and a couple of patients. So that's kind of what's happening at work. So I've actually had several individuals, and one I actually asked to self quarantine, and actually because he kept insisting that he was exposed to 1.1 million people per year, and that there are busloads of tourists that actually descend, and he is exposed to them. So I said, all right, you sounds like you have flu-like symptoms. Uh, Self isolate. So I guess he didn't have a problem with me while he was in the room, but then he told the pharmacist that he was supposed to be in isolation, and it caused hysteria. Oh my God, the it's yeah. So he told the pharmacist, and the pharmacist started freaking out, and then she complained to her supervisor, and then her supervisor complained to the medical director, and the medical director puts out this friggin' um, email, you know. It's amazing, and then as it turns out, it wasn't even my patient that actually did it. It was somebody else. But yeah, folks are very their nerves are frayed right now, and I think you have people who are, nonchalant about it. It's like, yeah, big deal. It's not. And then there are people who are really like, oh my God, this is a serious thing. And hopefully 80% of the people are like in the middle. But that was just an incident, and that's kind of what work is like. So actually what I've done is I have there's supposed to be four in my team, but we're missing one. We're missing the clerk. So what happens is that if we have a person who comes in and actually uh, has that positive screen, right? Like, did you travel to China? Let's just say somebody traveled to China and they have a cough, right? So actually, what I've done is that they usually I'm like the third person that they see anyway, because somebody does vital signs, the other does triage, and then I do the evaluating. Um, so for was it last week? I think it was last week and the week before. We actually had about six that had a positive screen, or so we thought. So what we did after with the first one, I actually happened to be the first one to be to really like say, hey, we need to like put mask on, etc. Because this is before it was declared a pandemic, and before we had all these policies and procedures. The clerk missed it. The person who did vital signs missed it, and then the nurse missed it. And then I said, "Hey, so I actually." Um, when the patient was with me, I asked him. I did the screening, and I gave him a mask and closed the door. And this is after I put the mask on, obviously, right? So we were both in that room, and with the door closed. So it was him and I, and pretty much that's how it should be. Except it should have been caught earlier. But anyway, it worked out fine. He had a negative. He ended up having a negative screen. So this person ended up sitting with me, and and then I called the county department, and then I got I was told that I needed to give that I needed to wait in line. That would take about, I think, 10-20 minutes before somebody called me. They were just triaging the calls, and part of our process was, if we couldn't get a hold of county, we could call the chief of infectious disease. So I called the chief of infectious disease, ran it by him. He says, no, he's good to go. So what we learned from that is that, whoa, this could be missed. And we kind of like, sorry for rubbing my eye. I actually washed my hands. So before I went after I went anywhere. Um, so we actually, we huddled, meaning that the three of us just got together briefly. And I said, we could probably change this, because three people missed it. So what we ended up doing was this. So I said, you know what? Whoever screens, or whoever the first person touches this patient or sees this patient, ask the screening question. This is after the process was in place, and I think we actually, I don't know if we had anything to do with it, but actually after suggesting this to the manager, it seemed to have come out. So this new process. So I actually told, I said, I said, whichever one of us three is in contact, and do the screen, do the three questions, and if it is positive, put a mask on him, put a mask on, do the whole precaution, put the gown on, put the face shield on, and you need to go to a room and close the door, and you need to, call me, and then I will ask more questions. So it'll be like a secondary screen. So there's a primary screen with whoever is that first person. Then, since I'm the nurse practitioner, then I do a secondary. And if I have any questions, then I go up to infectious disease. And actually, our infectious disease people, man, they respond within minutes, which is actually awesome. That's just like, this is not business as usual. So they're actually pretty darn good. So actually, so they clear him, and we've had, and since then the three of us know, and we're pretty close. We're a good team in in good times, but some of them are having uh, uh, home issues. So, but what was I saying? So yeah, so our infectious disease folks, the specialists, they're on top of it. I mean, they will answer the phone, and it's just, they're not gonna hassle you. Although might give you a little attitude for for what may seem silly, but yeah, we've had, yeah, I think I've had to call them like three or four times. The other ones, because of the screen, it's with me doing the secondary screen, I'm able to clear them, and hopefully, we did the right thing. And you never know, because it's there's community spread, right? Like community acquired. So but we do our best. We did our best, and I think uh, all the ones where we're exposed to have been fine. So I think there's only one known case. But yeah, that's what it's like. I think even tomorrow, when we go to work, we're most likely going to have at least five emails. But that's okay. I think it's to keep everybody abreast of the situation, updated, and I think that's the kind of response we're doing in my healthcare setting. So we've been very proactive, and continue to improve on the process. And it's going to be it's going to be a worldwide, it's community. I think it's going to go from you have circles, like within, it has to start with your family, then your community, then then the state, and then the nation, and then the world. So that's kind of what it's like at work. So at home, so what's it like at home? Well, uh, my son moved out, and I'm by myself. So business is as usual here at home, except I'm trying to. Actually, I went out yesterday, and I think I'll tell you that when I get to cough. So I went out yesterday to the casino, and actually, while I was there, I noticed there were really a lot of people. But then again, I was there like lunchtime, and I said, "Oh, I didn't think much of it." But then I talked to one of the cashiers, and they said, "Yeah, it's a little on the slow side." And then at around, I would say around 4:30 in the afternoon, I was only there for a couple of hours. I am gonna post a video, hopefully, um, while I was there. They actually have when you go to the club, the member service desk, and actually I saw this thing on the big screen. It says, "Sorry for the inconvenience, but San Manuel Casino is closing as of Sunday, uh, March 15th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon." I said, "Oh, wow." So I don't know if there were any cases over there, but I think they're just because the only thing that everything pretty much a lot of places are shut down. Disneyland is shut down, and the only thing and California Adventure is shut down, and I think they did that on their own, and there were no restrictions, and I think the only ones uh, that actually were allowed to stay open were movies and the casino. So actually, I was surprised to see that yesterday. So I guess as of 5 o'clock today, uh, Casino is going to close, and who knows when they're going to open again. So, but I think it's a good idea. They need to clean that place. Uh, if you look at one of my videos, actually, the last video, I think it's in February. I think it's titled "I Think I Caught Something Bad." That's where I went to San Manuel and I ate at the Hong Bao, which is a new Chinese restaurant. And I swear, I got home and I took a shower because I like to take a shower after I go to the casino because you smell like a smokestack if you don't. And it's just all over you, your nose, your mouth, everything, your clothes, your hair. So, and then within, I'd say less than 24 hours, I was sicker than a dog, and yeah, I'm describing that on the other video. I just the worst fever chills, and actually there was this pain that was like right here. I don't know, it was right here on the right side. It felt like a hot poker that went up my nose to my eye, and it felt like it was my brain, but it was my head, and it hurt like a bitch. And I'm thinking actually that I didn't catch it at San Manuel. I say this because three of us, I actually treated a couple of my coworkers, another person, and then the one I worked directly with. I treated them to Vallarta, which is a Mexican grocery, kind of like a deli place, and I think I had chicken soup, and the girl at the counter, the cashier, coughed, and I actually, when that happens, I get really, I really want to wash my hands, but she touched my card and gave it back to me. And I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm going to get sick. And I put it in there and, didn't think much of it. Right. So and even though I said that to myself that I'm going to get sick, is it subconscious? I doubt it because I was sicker than hell 24 hours later. And believe it or not, those two individuals I went with to Vallarta uh, got sick. Well, Josie got sick before I did. Then I got sick. Then Anna got sick. And then out of there let me see, there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 people. And how many got sick? There's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Oh, 7 out of 11 staff got sick. And we pretty much all had the same. And it was the first time. anybody called in sick that long. Most of us were calling in sick anywhere from 2 to like 4 or 5 days. It was crazy. So yeah, that's kind of what it was. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. So home, I'm pretty much. Oh yeah, I self isolated. Actually, I did that. This is even this because that was February, and so I just self isolated for a few days. Um, but nobody came back saying that they were sick, other than just the coworkers. Um, so what's shopping like in your area? Well, I started shopping about 2 3 weeks ago, and it was a somewhat of a madhouse. People were really, they were buying some. It was just moderate. There was a lot of stuff left. As a matter of fact, there were like 2 50-pound uh, rice that were actually left on this pallet, right? And and with me, I try not to eat rice that's not really produced in the United States. So I actually had 3 bags of Mahatma rice. They were like 25 pounds. I'm not advertising for Mahatma, by the way. So there were, I bought 3 bags before because they were on sale, like 25 pounds. I bought them at like Vallarta. They were, which is weird. So you'll go to a lot of grocery stores here. A lot of the rice is from Thailand. And if not Thailand, no, I think it's all Thailand and China. And you will rarely find, like you used to in the past, rice from California. That's what I thought anyway, at least with the grocery stores where I go to. So when I actually went to the store, I actually found these 2 pallets. I said, huh, finally, rice that's produced in the United States, which is actually good quality rice. And I said, well, I'm gonna get the last 2 bags, which I actually it's not for the as the COVID, because a couple of weeks ago we didn't even think it was gonna be that many. I think there was only like 14 in California. So I just like rice from California. So and then I just bought some other stuff like flour. I just said, well, just in case. I bought a bag of flour, and these are like Costco like. So this is Sam's Club where I shop. I prefer Sam's Club over Costco. So I bought these things, and I bought peanut butter, and just the necessity anyway. I would use these anyway. And my thinking was, all right, well, if we're gonna be you know, quarantined, just like China, then I will need at least 14 to 30 days supply, right? And it's just me. But then I have my son too. So I just kind of like bought that, and I said, well, and then I just I just bought that, and and so then a week later I read things about Australia and somewhere else they're fighting over toilet paper. I'm thinking, what the heck? I said toilet paper. So I'm thinking, well, I don't really need toilet paper, but I said, oh wait, I do need toilet paper because I only have 3 rolls left. Because that's not, I usually like to stay ahead anyway. I buy at Sam's Club, and I buy things because I don't like to go shopping because people can be idiots out there, even at Sam's Club. But they're less so at Sam's Club. Actually, I did a drone video, but it was from like about a mile away, and I'm hoping I captured the line at Costco today. Oh my gosh! I think they opened at 10 o'clock, and people are already standing there at about probably I got there at quarter till 9, and that line went from all the way from the front. Oh, you know how Costa is huge, right? So along the the wide side of Costco and then all the way to the back. And it was like drizzling. And I think it had been raining too. And these folks were just like standing there like drowned rats. And a lot of people are labeling it panic shopping, right? Is it really panic shopping when you're actually expecting to be locked down for like 14 days or maybe even 30 days? I mean, shit, you gotta get, just what? You're gonna, okay, what? Are you gonna buy like one roll of toilet paper to last you that 14 freaking days? I mean, if you have a family of four, shit, that roll of toilet paper is probably gonna last you like, what, a day or two? Yeah, you gotta blow your nose, you gotta wipe your ass, so, especially though at Costco, they sell bulk. But then again, you have assholes who, like a couple of weeks ago, because I do woodwork, right? And you guys know that. And so I actually, I do woodwork and I get dusty. And so I actually buy those N95. I actually had a box I actually had a box and I gave half to my son. This is when, COVID first started. And I said, here, take these. But a couple of weeks ago, I started looking for those masks and they were gone. The N95 mask, and I said, "Oh shit!" And I kept asking. I went to Home Depot. I went to Lowe's. Uh, that's free ad for you guys. And there was none. This was like on a Thursday, and then I came back on a Monday, which is like I think 2 weeks ago. And the guy at Home Depot says there's none in the district. It says all over. So it's I guess the LA district. And on that Thursday, that was on a Monday. But the Thursday that I first went there, I was talking to a guy who worked the paint department where they have these N95 masks. And I said, "Hey, what happened to your mask?" I said, "What's going on?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "With this COVID thing," he said there was one guy who came in and he bought $2,000 worth of masks. He said he just like cleared the place, and he said supposedly this guy was gonna give him donate him. I'm thinking, donate him to his pocket probably. So yeah, so that turned into a frenzy. Went to Lowe's, and then I actually so they told me that their deliveries are Monday through Friday, right? So I actually went back on a Monday. I went to Home Depot. That's when the guy said, "Yeah, we didn't have any in the district." So I thought, I'd go to Lowe's, right? It was just like like a couple of miles down the street. So I go there. There's really hardly anyone. And then I was talking to this big guy, and he was in this department where they actually they keep them separate. It's weird. Home Depot has them in the paint department, and at Lowe's they have them in the tool section kind of thing. But they have their own safety thing, like with safety glasses, hard hats, and stuff. So I was talking about that and stuff like that, and so I got to talking to him. I said, and I kind of told him like, I said, hey, the ones who need it are the ones who are sick, not the ones who are well. If you're caring for somebody who's sick, then you may need to use them. And we got to talking, and he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "Let me take a look." He says, so he goes to he goes to this it's not a pallet, but they got like, I guess they divvy it up. They have like they have to stock it, so they have these boxes stacked. And he goes there and he says, "Oh," he says, "looks like we got a couple of boxes." I go, "Oh, okay." He says, "Do you want to take one?" I go, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And I didn't even know how much they were, but I'll tell you in a little bit, and you'll be shocked. And this is at like Lowe's, right? So talk about yeah, going supply and demand. So just going back, I'll tell you the price right now. So I bought that big box from Home Depot, and I think there's like 24 of them, right? And so these are like N95. I bought these like I think last year, and I use it for woodwork, right? So I actually have given like half to my son, or maybe a little more than half, and I said, oh well. just in case the family needs them. I'm gonna go buy some, right? So I couldn't find anything. So until till this, and I bought those 24. I think they were like what 24. I think they're like 30, 32, $36 for that box of 24. So you know, so I didn't really think much of it, right? He says, "Do you want it? Do you want them?" I go, "Yeah, okay." So I took one box and I counted them. I thought there was going to be a whole bunch, like 24, right? Well, there's only like 12 in there. Uh, there's like there's like six packs, and there's two per pack, so there's only a total of 12, right? So that's only half of what I bought, and and then I said, it looks like there's only two of them per pack. So I said, ah, man, let me just go get the other box, right? Because when you do woodwork, and I'm actually trying to, um, you know, clean up the backyard and clean up my garage. I need those. So I actually bought 24, right? 24. So that it turns out that the pack of two was like $8. That was like seven something. So that box of 12, that was like close to 50. It's like $54. So these two boxes, that like the total 24, uh, total 24 N95. I think that they're not even N95. I think they're R95. So I guess N95 is for is for dry dust, stuff like that. But for the R95, I think it's like if you're spraying oil and stuff like that, it actually it's better for use. So it surprised me that they were actually like I prefer they're like over $100 for those 24. Wow. Supply and demand. Can you believe that? And then I actually looked online. They were selling them for like a box of 24 for like $300. Oh, it's not even 300. It's not even a box of 24. I think I saw one for like they were like $30 each. $30 each for a mask. I said, God damn. These people are just really, that's ridiculous. So, but yeah, it's so is it panic buying or sensible buying? I mean, I didn't, if there were masks and they were like $2,000 worth, do you think I'm going to go buy $2,000 worth of masks? Hell no. I actually didn't even want to pay for those $104 masks. I just felt embarrassed because I was at the cashier, and I just didn't want to like put him back and you know and say, oh, like they say, if you have to ask the price, you probably can't afford him. And I said, screw it. I'm already here at the you know at the cashier. I'm gonna need these. I don't know when they're gonna have them again. I'm trying to do videos, and I need them. So but the other stuff is like people are buying um, like stacks and upon stacks of like water bottles. Like, dude, why don't you just get a water filter? It'll probably save you a lot of money. That's what I have. I have a water filter for my refrigerator, and I have a water filter under the sink, and that's been in there for at least 10 years. They've been there for about 10 years. So paper towels, I bought like you can't buy anything less than 24 rolls of paper towel at Sam's Club. So I just bought one. I'm not gonna buy like you know bulk. Where am I gonna put all that crap? And then toilet paper, as it turns out, like $14. But hey, supply and demand. So I only bought one. It's like, I don't know, what am I gonna do with all that toilet paper? Yeah, I think this is gonna last me. Yeah, I just needed to buy some. So what else? Yeah, it's just it's all meat. I guess I bought meat and like on the way home last week, and there were only like 10 packages of beef, and it was like empty all the way at Sam's Club. Yeah, it's just there are people who are hoarding, but I think they're only like 1%. I think, I don't, panic buying has gotten to be like a buzzword. It why do they call it panic buying? I mean, are you supposed to buy it at the last minute when they say, "Oh, hey, March 6th, supposed to buy it at the last minute"? Isn't that like procrastinating? No, I think that's being sensible that you're anticipating. And I think it's for people who are up to date. But I think what I don't agree with are the 1% hoarders that buy all kinds of shit and that, and for what? Like this guy in Oklahoma, he bought like 17,700. He has 17,700 bottles of like hand sanitizer that he still has. Yeah, now he's screwed because Amazon, uh, cut off his account. Yeah, good for you. Try selling that. You can actually make your own. So I actually bought a. I don't drink. I have a lot of spirits, but I don't drink. I'm not really, I'm not much of a drinker. I just like having that stuff around. So I bought a. Actually, if you're really if you're into hand sanitizers, which personally I think is a waste of time, but it's kind of like I guess if you are taking a shit and there's no toilet paper, I guess you're gonna have to think of something else, right? So that's when you use banana leaves. But hand sanitizers, they're not as good. They're not as good as a hand washing because you're just rubbing things around. And you know what? If you look at those things, you need friction too. It'll get rid of. I mean, it's biology 101, right? Heat will kill viruses, bacteria, and fungus, right? Try putting back viruses in a frying pan, see if it won't die. Bacteria, the same. Even fungus, even your friggin' mushrooms will cook, so they'll die. So heat, acid, alkaline. Let's see, uh, alcohol, copper. So those will kill even charcoal, I think. But that's more like filtration. So um, if I need sand sanitizer, actually I have plenty. I rarely use that because I keep getting them for like Christmas presents. So I think somebody's trying to give me a hint there. So you can basically get vodka, and then you can go online. You can actually add aloe vera and you know, um, a couple of drops of, essential oils to make it smell pretty. But all you need is aloe vera and, you know, um, and vodka, which is ethyl alcohol, ethanol. And the other thing that I also noticed that people are buying a lot of isopropyl alcohol. Don't drink that shit. It's gonna make you go blind. Uh, it's bad enough when you drink ethanol, vodka. Don't drink that shit either. So you mix a certain percent. Um, I'm not gonna give you the actual because I think you can look it up. But you need a certain percent of ethanol in there, and then just be sure you do that. I guess if you're nowhere near a sink, so you can put it in these little bottles or little containers that you can get at like these stores. So yeah, buy vodka, get the cheap kind. It's the same. It's just alcohol, and then just add aloe vera, so it's just not too toxic. Obviously, if you're allergic to it, don't be an idiot and use it. You wash your hands. It's the rubbing action, and I think for us they said it's the row your boat, row your boat gently down the stream. So you do that. I guess you don't do it. Yeah, do it like as if you're a kid. So yeah, so that's so sensible versus panic buying. Well, shit, you gotta buy anywhere from 14 to 30 days. Might as well, it's yeah, like why are you buying so many of these things? Well, I guess actually, to be honest with you, that's kind of I don't really like buy too much because one, it'll expire, or the sell by date will be near and you won't finish and you just wasted your money unless you're that type of person who donates it to the food bank when it's expired or beyond its sell by date. I know you guys. So yeah, it's oh yeah, I actually have a pasta machine, a KitchenAid that I just bought, and yeah, I can make my own pasta. So yeah, look for recipes. You can actually use um, flour. So for those people who didn't buy a lot of the essentials, toilet paper, really, you have to wipe your ass with paper. Well, then buy newspaper, you know, or Xerox paper. But you know what people do? You know what you do to your kid? You get those butt wipes, right? Or what you can do is use your old t-shirts, cut it into a square, and reuse that. That's the good thing about this COVID. Although people will say, "Oh, you're being an asshole." No, you know what? There are things that are actually, that COVID is going to change a lot of things. Maybe temporary for a lot of people, but you're going to have more quality time with your family. Yes. Now you're gonna have to sit your ass and look at your family, and now maybe you can communicate. Maybe you can watch TV. Maybe you can play board games. Maybe you can communicate, talk about things. Yeah, and maybe you'll just get along. Maybe life will be better, right? So that's one good thing. Um, well, there's actually a lot of good things. Um, yeah, there won't be as many assholes on the street. There won't be as many rude people trying to elbow you at places, you know? And, well, I had a lot in mind, but I forgot. That's just, maybe it'll come back to me in a little bit. So, so yeah, so those are, so yeah, it's maybe you guys can go gardening, right? Except it's raining in LA, right? In Southern California. You don't really want to do gardening. Although you can start your plants. I've actually started tomatoes. What did I start? Tomatoes, okra, and eggplants. Some of them have sprouted actually. And I bought some more starters that I should start, but I got to clean the house. My son's going to visit me at 1 o'clock. We're assembling his computer. It should be a super friggin' powerful. Yeah, I got him for this is for his birthday. One of the things I bought for his birthday. We're building. Well, he's pretty much building it. It's got an AMD Ryzen 9 3000, I think, 33,000 or 3200. It's a 16 core computer, and man, I hope it works. Otherwise, it's a waste of money, and I think we're putting it together properly. So yeah, quality time with family. That's going to be good. Um, and then it's oh yeah, so I went to church today, and yeah, the ushers are pretty loud in the back. So I looked at him. I kind of like looked at him. It's like you're like you're drowning out the priest with your conversation. There's this there's this old guy who sits in the back, and he actually, I think he's deaf, and when he talks like, and I think that's when he's trying to whisper. So today they were today's subject was, "Well, I'm gonna go up there with this bag. No, but we didn't get a bulletin on how to collect the collection. So I'm just gonna go up and down there and then the wife kept going. You shouldn't. Yeah, they told you to just go, and I'm thinking, really? Do I really need to all that? And yeah, and then there was another usher. Hey, he goes, hey, we need to get hot or something. Wait, am I in church or am I in some friggin' like at a bar or like Chili's or something? And yeah, I just kind of like looked that way, kind of like what they used to do to me. Like if I did some like so crazy things, like I just kind of like looked at them and then shook my head. So they actually they shut up. So yeah, but yeah, it's the church is usually full. So I went to church at 7:30 in the morning, Sunday, which is today, a couple of hours ago, and actually there were less than 200 people in church. Less than 200. That includes the priest and the altar boys and uh, the deacon. And I'm going, holy cow. And actually, on my row, it was just me. And behind me were those loud people. And there were like two pews behind. And there was another one, two pews in front of me. And, to the other pew between her and I, all the way to the other side, was another. And yeah, I think there was only like 20. I think there were more than 20 pews in that on that side. There's a one here. There's four of them. So on this pew, there's like less than 20, and on the right, I think there's probably, let's just say, 20. And in the middle, there's probably less than there's less than 100 here, less than 100 there. Yeah, it was crazy. So, and I think people are staying away, so which is good. And there were still people shaking hands, but what I did is I wore a scarf that I actually had all the way down here, and I wore gloves. And actually, when I go to large places like that, I'm gonna have to do that, and then throw them in the wash, put it on warm, and then I put it in the dryer because that's heat. So hopefully it'll kill it. If it doesn't, then I'm screwed. And I did that when I went to San Manuel. I actually had an N95 mask, one of the stuff that I use. I usually don't go to San Manuel with a mask, but that day I actually felt it. Which leads me to segue into and I said, what do you folks think about educating everyone about hand washing? Can I just jump ahead to covering your cough? And I don't know and think what you want, think I'm a racist, whatever. But as soon as I got there was this Chinese couple, and the guy just started going, as I was walking towards him. I said, hey, cover that cough. And I'm thinking, son of a, and I said, and it's like, oh, I thought nothing of it, right? Is it's Chinese. How do I know he's Chinese? Well, I'm Asian. I kind of can tell sometimes who's Chinese. When you're Asian, hopefully you can tell who's Chinese, Korean. This guy was actually Chinese. So he just passed by, right? So that's like as soon as I got in. And then there's this couple, another Chinese. How can you tell? I can tell. My radar is on, I guess. They certainly didn't look Filipino, Korean, or any other Asian. They certainly didn't look Korean or Japanese. But so they actually went to the beverage cart and got themselves coffee, I guess, or whatever. But my left, and they're together, right? So they're coming towards me. The woman still has her mask on, right? And the jackass pulls down his mask, and then I guess he starts coughing. And I said, "Hey!" As he was passing by, I said, "You need to cover that goddamn cough." I'm thinking this is like within 50 feet, right? And they're Chinese again, and I'm going, son of a gun. And it did, I usually say that it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Mexican, Filipino, old man, old woman, kid. It's just, it's just not, and that's how you spread diseases, right? That's one of my pet peeves. So that was that. I actually had a mask. I said I wasn't gonna put a mask on. I said, son of a. So I put the mask on, right? Probably a little too late now, but I don't have any symptoms yet. Yeah, but hopefully I don't have it. Knock on wood. So I have my mask on, right? And so I decided to go. I played a little bit, and I won a little bit, and then I actually uh, lost half of it, and I said, screw this, I'm gonna go eat. And guess what? So I made reservations for 4:30, right? So because I got a free buffet. So I actually, the woman says, oh, she says, we're not taking reservations, but we don't open until 4:30. She says, you just come back at 4:30. She says, just get on that line right there. Oh, okay, right. So I played. That's when my money went down to half. And so I got in line, and it was like 4:30 or like 4:25. And all of a sudden, this woman, I hear, and I'm just standing there. I'm the first one, right? I just got my hands crossed. I got my mask on. And all of a sudden, this woman behind me, she said, have you paid? I said, what? She says, have you paid? I said, yes, I paid. She says, you need to go over there. You go over there. And she's Chinese. So I wasn't having a good time with the Chinese. And so she says, you need to go over there. I said, you know what? I said, do you? So by now, I'm really peeved. It's like a couple of just, it probably didn't even matter if she was Chinese or not. I probably would have just gotten pissed off anyway. So, but she just happened to be Chinese. And nothing against Chinese. I think there are a lot of great Chinese people, but there are a lot of assholes too. Yeah, I'm a 1.2 billion. I guess you'll expect you'll run into a couple, but like three in a row. It's not even three in a row. I'll tell you about the fourth one in a second. So, she says, I said, do you work here? She says, no. I said, then you need to be quiet. I said, you don't work here. I said, I don't listen to you. I listen to her. So the lady says, all right, you can go. The person who works at San Manuel at the buffet, she said, you can go there. So I go over there. And so this woman who was like, who just kept, man, she just wouldn't shut up, right? So she says, I was just trying to be helpful. I said, no, you need to shut up. You're just trying to be an idiot. That's what you're doing. I said, you need to shut up. And then she shuts up. so I said, damn, it's like I'm trying to like relax here, and you're just like, what? We're so uptight. It's like you're hungry, like you're gonna die. Like there's shitloads of food, and there's not hardly anybody at the buffet. It's like there's no line. There's no freaking line at the buffet. Usually, it's like all the way to the like friggin' if you've ever been to San Manuel, it's usually all the way to like the high roller. And she was like, what the heck's your freaking hurry? She said, is it at 4:30? And I said, yes, at 4:30. I said, son of a-" So then I actually I sat down and I ate my meal. So that was that, and you know. So then I said, oh man, maybe I should start heading out. So I go up the escalator, and so this is the fourth Chinese person. He's in front of me on the elevator, and we're going up. And guess what the freaking hell he does? No, he doesn't cough. He rips a really wet one. He farts. I said, motherfucker. I said, pardon my language. I said, hey. He says, this head, what? I said, you need to go do that shit in the bathroom. I said, if you're gonna fart, you need to go to the bathroom. He said, so he pretends like that. He said, you go. I said, and I was just like, son of a bitch. He was an older guy. Yeah, all these people were like old, they're like in the 60s. No, they're like in their seven, no, except for that woman who was hungry at the buffet line. I think she's probably in her 60s, so she's only like a few years older than me. But god damn, it's just these people were just friggin', you know, just, I just can believe it. But anyway, so I played and I actually lost that money. Yeah, yeah, remember I said I lost half of what I was winning. I lost all of that, and then I put $100 in, but I'm lucky I did because I won. I ended up winning. So I'm gonna post a video of some of these things. Hopefully, it'll be later. Like I said, my son's gonna be in at 1 o'clock. So yeah. So let's so so what kind of precautions? Respiratory isolation or universal precautions? I don't get it. So they're saying we don't know much about this virus. Why the hell are we just doing respiratory isolation? When we were when HIV first came out back in the 80s, we were pretty much gowning up. You know, and it wasn't even a respiratory virus. It's not even a respiratory virus, right? So they're saying, well, we don't know much about it, but we think, well, don't you think you should be using universal precautions? Which actually was what actually, you know, um, we're doing anyway. You've got the face shield, you got the mask, and you got the gown, you got the gloves. People are forgetting, I think, the booties, the shoe covers. But yeah, they say respiratory isolation. I'm just hoping that they're actually just using the word incorrectly because yeah, it's people are using universal precautions because respiratory isolation is usually just a mask and a gown. People don't realize they also need to cover their head. Because what you're gonna protect everything but your head. And I am actually that's why I'm actually thinking of shaving my head, just because it can get stuck there. But what I do is I take shower when I get home, and I'm gonna try and do it as soon as I get in the front door. Actually, what I've done the last few days is actually um, is actually take all my clothes off at the front door, and then I throw them in the laundry. And actually, I bought a ultraviolet light, and I was looking all over the friggin' place at Home Depot and at Lowe's. There's more advertising for you guys. And I was looking for ultraviolet light because that's one of the things that supposedly kills viruses, right? And actually, I couldn't find one. All I could find was a bug zapper, but it's UV light and it's weaker than heck. So, but I'm just gonna put that on the front door and I'll leave that on. If nothing else, it'll kill bugs. It'll kill flies and mosquitoes. But hopefully, by having that on all day, all night, 24 hours a day, that whatever goes through the front door gets zapped. Hopefully, not visitors, just the bugs. I actually have one in the back, but the light burned out. I have to go find another bulb for that. So wow, I've been at this for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I am all alone. I guess this people are isolating me. It's self isolation. That's okay. It's going to be posted. So I hope you get something out of this. If not good information, hopefully it's entertainment value. A lot of what I say are just my own um, opinions. They're not meant to encourage you to do anything. But if it helps you, if it saves you, then okay. But if they're not meant to solicit, it's not medical advice. I think you've got to use common sense, and if you don't have common sense, then probably uh, go talk to your provider. Uh, you know, and if you don't have one, go to there's always healthcare for everyone. So whether it's the county or whatnot. So as of 11 o'clock Los Angeles time, 153,648 cases, 5,746 have expired, and 46 countries affected. So that was at 11 o'clock. Let me just flip real quick to this one here. I hope I don't get disconnected, although I probably will. Um, no, I was going to look at the actual numbers. Um, where's my phone? Maybe I could look it up. No, I guess that's just my only source. So that's what it's. That's what life is like here in Los Angeles. It's cloudy outside. It's been raining. It's supposed to rain again. And in a sense, I think, and I'm hoping that the rain puts an end to this COVID. And, because you need a certain, oh yeah, droplets. Um, you need a certain size. So you got to remember, folks, if it's droplets, if it's respiratory, there are different sizes of things, right? So imagine a basketball, right? And things are going, they want to go to your nose, mouth, eyes, ears, whatever. It wants to go into your lungs. It actually wants to go in the back of your throat and then multiply and then somehow finds its way itself into your lungs. So if you look at the sizes, right? So droplet, they say, they say droplet precautions. I'm trying to cover pyro right there. So here's how I used to be a respiratory therapist. If you think about it, right, there's only certain sizes that will actually enter your lungs because your nose and your mouth is actually there to protect it. I actually had shaved my mustache before. I might shave it again. So for things to enter your nose and your mouth, it has to be a certain size. Also, a certain um, size that goes into your lungs, right? So, imagine a basketball. You think that'll enter your nose to your throat to the back of your throat to your lungs? No, it's too big, right? So now a softball, will that enter your nose? No. Pretend that what I'm describing you is liquid with the virus, right? Viruses are super small. The next one that are small are bacteria. The next one smaller than that is fungus, and then amoeba, etc., etc. So unless that's changed recently, please correct me. Um, so we're gonna go from big to small, and actually big, small, and then probably in between. So if you try to inhale liquid the size of a softball, it's not gonna get in, right? Now try inhaling something the size of a. Although I'm not saying you inhale this, you do this thing. I just imagine inhaling something the size of a walnut. It'll never get in. It'll never get in. So now the size of a pea, we're getting there. It's getting smaller, right? Still probably gonna get stuck. Then let's go the size of a grain of sand. Yep, definitely it's going to go in there, right? But imagine something that big and it carries a virus. What are the chances of that landing, in your nose or your mouth? Well, you got some probability, right? But it's still low probability. Now, think of something smaller, right? Let's go jump to something really small. What about um, you know a spray mist like from your perfume, right? Well, that's probably a right size. But let me go to something smaller. So, do you know why they weren't able to weaponize anthrax? Because they couldn't find anything that they could put it on for people to breathe. Because what happens is, when it's that small, when wind blows, it blows it out of the way, right? This is why I'm saying hopefully that the rain will wash it off. So if you have something that small and it rains, well, it'll get stuck on the rain droplets and it'll fall to the ground and it'll wash it off, right? But but if you have uh, people that are in a building and somebody sneezes and because it's raining outside, well, that's really not good news. So yeah, social distancing it will work in that case. So talcum powder, if you've ever like sprayed it in the air, you see it go up and then it goes down. Well, that may be a little too heavy still. So what it needs is something to ride on that's small enough that it'll actually stay airborne, that'll stay floating. If you look at a feather, right, or even a plastic bag, sometimes it's just like floating and floating, and then when you breathe in, it tends to go towards you. Then when you breathe out, it goes away. Well, that's kind of imagine that as the size of a particle that this virus can ride on, and for the most part, if it's the right size and it's air and it stays up there, so when somebody sneezes, it stays there. But only it doesn't only happen when somebody sneezes, right? Also when somebody coughs. Because what it's trying to do is it's trying, what our body is trying to do is when we sneeze and cough, it's our body trying to get rid of that crap. But then if somebody walks, pass by like I did with those two idiots at the casino, then I could have gotten those because it's 6 feet. So if one person's here, the other person's here, and this is 6 feet, right? Actually, there's a chance that I could breathe it. Also, if we're 6 feet apart and we talk for like 6 minutes, that's the rule of thumb for TB. You can actually get TB 6 minutes, 6 feet apart. Probably the same. So I think you could be 6 feet apart, but if you're talking to that person for 6 minutes, I think you can get it. And it's the same that way. And it's just the nature of our, when we breathe out, it's carbon dioxide and water. But along that, when we breathe out, it's not, our lungs want, sterile air pretty much as possible. But when we breathe out crap. So all the stuff that, what that goes in our nose that gets filtered and then it's clean when it goes to our lungs. But guess what? When we breathe out, all of that crap starts flying away. That's what ends up happening. So I think when you yawn, you go, well, I don't know. I don't get that either. It's like, why do freaking people have to go, well, like what the fuck? It's like, why are you advertising? What you're? It doesn't even matter whether they're bored or not. It's like, why the hell do they have to sound like a freaking dog? Going, like shit. Like if you're gonna yawn, just go. Yeah, cover your mouth. God damn it. And then when you cough, don't just cover your mouth because things gonna come out your nose. So do this. When you sneeze, you do the same thing. Or what you can do, like I do, do that. Oh my God. So you don't have to like do this. Yeah. So yeah, I think good hand washing is is best practice. But I suppose if there's a lavatory desert, there's this thing what they call a food desert, like in urban areas where they don't have fresh fruits and vegetables. They call it what a vegetable desert. So yeah, if you're in a sink desert where there's no sink around where you can wash your hands, I guess that hand sanitizer thing will work. So yeah, I hope everybody does well out there. So what's this thing about you know the curve, right? That Dr. Fauci is talking about. And if you think about it, right, if you sneeze at 100 people and you have the flu, which I hope you don't sneeze at 100 people, If you sneeze at 100 people, do you think all of those people will get the flu? No, right? Maybe okay, maybe not everybody. Let's say maybe 99, but for the most part, it may not even be that. Let's just do simple math, okay? Let's just say, all right, how about we do five? So if one person sneezes at exposes 100 people, and we can agree that it doesn't infect all 100, and that only five will get infected. All right. So stick with me here. One infects is breathes or coughs into 100 people. Only five get infected. All right. Now that those 5 people each sneeze at 100 people, and we said that all right, the low number, the number we're going to choose is five. So those 5 people are now going to person number one is going to infect five, 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 five. So that one person infected 5 people. These 5 people infected 25. So that's a pretty steep curve, right? It's not even that steep yet. So now you have 25 that are each going to infect 5 people. So you do the math. 5 times 25 is 5 to 125. So let's say that that's just, so day one, there's one person. Day two, there's five. Day three, there's 25. Day four, there's 125. So those 125 people are going to infect 5 people because they sneezed at 100 people or coughed or yawned at 100 people. 125 times 5 is, oh shit, 5, 2, 2, 1. 625 people. Day 5, 625 people. All right. Imagine day 6. Shit, I'm going to have to write this down. So 625, and they infect 5 people each. 5, 2, carry 1, 2, carry 1. That's 3,125 people. That one person in 6 days has now caused 3,125 people to get sick. That's a freaking steep curve. So what if this is what they're doing with the social isolation, right? And distancing. So what if that person did not cough at 100 people, right? And maybe because he was in isolation. So let's say he only infected, let's be fair. Let's just do this. He coughs. We didn't know much shit about this. We actually, so now let's do day 3, okay? So we find out on day 3 that this is how many got infected. So day 1, there's one person. Day 2, there's 5 people. Day 3, there's 25. So we say, oh shit, there's some crazy shit going on in this world, and it's called COVID. We need to slow it down because we know that in 6 days it's gonna shoot up really way freaking high. So how do we do that? We don't allow these people to sneeze on 100 people. So let's say that maybe, like we said, 5%, right? So let's say we only have 50 people that they're gonna sneeze on, right? So we went from 1, 5, 25, 125, and then 625, and then 3,125. That's 5 infects 5 infects, and those 5 infect 5. So now, what if we say? So we said 5%, right? So let's say that. So there was like we decided on the third day that we have 125. So we now actually say stay away, stay home. So they don't sneeze at 100 people. They only sneeze at 50. So those 125, so 5% of 50 is 2.5. So let's just say it's 3. So you went from 121 to 5 to 125. And so those 125 are only going to infect, uh, let's say 3, okay, instead of 2.3. We'll even make this, err towards, worst case. So 3 times 125, 5, 1, 7. So instead of 625, there's only going to be 375. And then you times that by 3, 5, carry 1, 1, 2. So instead of 3,125 being infected, now you only have 1,115 infected. So let's go day 7. It's not going to be actual days. It's however facet replicates, right? Or maybe it is. So 5 carry 2, 2 carry 1. So 1, 6. All right. So this is crazy. On day 7, 3, 5 carry 1. That's 4, 3, 3. So on day 7, whereas if with social isolation and social distancing, it would be 33,000. It would be 3,345. So kind of like let that sink in. I'm gonna put it on a sheet of paper. So you can see this. So let's see. 5%. 100 people. And so you get day 1. Yeah, not 100 people. 5, day 2. I just put day people. Yeah, I'm doing it wrong. So with isolation. So you get 1, 5, 25, 125. What do they say? 625. 15,625. So we said 1, 5, 25, and then 3. It'd be 75. 3 carry 5 carry 1, 22. 3 5 carry 1, 7. 5 carry 1, 2 carry 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. You guys see this? I think it's backwards. So without isolation, this is how rapid it'll grow. 1, 5, 75, 125, 625, 3, 3,100, 25, 15,625. Whereas with isolation is 1, 5, 25, and then we realize that we need to isolate here 75, 225, 675, And on the exact same day, in 7 days, with isolation, without isolation, you only have 12,000. You have 12. You have 12,000 without isolation. With isolation, you get 1,925. So that's like a 12-fold decrease if with just social isolation. That's how we blunt the curve. So yeah, I hope that kind of made sense to you folks. Hi, welcome. Hopefully, do you have any question? Thanks for joining. I'm just about to end the stream. Hope you watch this. Uh, it's what life is like in Los Angeles with the COVID infection, March 20. No, it's only March 15, 2020. All right. Well, um, if you have anything to add, oh hey guys, wow, there's three of us. So tell me about your experience where you guys are at, if you don't mind. If you don't mind sharing where you're at in this world and what life is like in your area, um, unless you live down the street, because I think I have I have a subscriber down the street, uh, and then you know what it's like in LA. So it's pretty interesting. I think at least out here in LA, it's kind of surreal because shelves. It's almost like uh, what you read in the news, what happened to Australia and China. It's a lot of buying. So anywho, well, thank you for joining me. I hope you stay safe and you know I posted the questions I answered, and I hope you stay safe. All right, bye for now.